Now I know I'm a bit late bringing this video, but honestly I wanted to get sort of accustomed to the game first and offer you my thoughts that way. Pokemon Go has been out for about 2 weeks now, at least in the UK it has. I'm not sure about the rest of the world. I think they got it about a week or so before we did. But I wanted to kind of get used to the game and sort of really analyse it, and then kind of see where I can go from there. Because I actually wanted to make a video like this a while ago when it first came out, but there was a lot of stuff I still didn't really understand, and I didn't want to misrepresent the game. Now, there's a lot of stuff I like about this game. I mean, I'm not playing it because I don't enjoy it. I definitely do enjoy the game. It's very addictive. It's very fun. But there's other things I would change about the game. There's stuff that doesn't really work so well, and I'm not going to mention the servers because we all know what the servers can be like with this game, and those issues seem to have cleared up quite a lot over the last, especially a week or so. So I'm going to leave the servers issue out because we're already all aware of that. I'm going to kind of bring you my overall thoughts about the game, both positive and negative, because there's going to be stuff to say on both sides of this. And not that I expect Niantic to actually do anything about this video, but this is kind of just for me to kind of air my thoughts, as well as grievances. Now, I'm not going to be showing you any actual gameplay footage because, Pokemon, Nintendo is a bit sort of iffy about it, so I don't really want to risk Nintendo kind of jumping at me sort of thing. Plus, my phone doesn't really record video, so it'd be a nightmare to actually get footage for this. So unfortunately I'm not going to be able to do that, and as I mentioned in an earlier video, I'm kind of resorting to just audio videos and live streaming at the moment since my daughter destroyed my camera. So I'm still trying to afford that because I don't actually get money off YouTube, because I'm definitely not big enough to actually get money off YouTube yet, so I'm kind of having to save for it myself. So long story short, that's going to take a while. So anyway, getting into sort of the meat and sort of nitty gritty of this video, Pokemon Go is essentially, if you don't play it yet, which most of the world kind of does, a real world Pokemon experience. Not in the way that they kind of advertised it, but I mean that was always going to be impossible anyway. The AR doesn't work unless your phone has a gyroscope. My phone does not, so I'm not able to actually project the Pokemon into the real world, which would have been cool, but it doesn't really sully my enjoyment of the game, really, necessarily. It's still fun, whenever I'm sitting at home, even, 11, 12 o'clock at night, and if there's a decent Pokemon that shows up on the map, I get my shoes on and I go out. I've done more walking over the last few weeks than I usually do. Most of my sort of activities, getting up and being active, come from going to wrestling training, wrestling on a show, or going to the gym. So, I'm not really as lazy as a lot of people. I'm not really kind of sitting on the sofa all day doing nothing, as much as I used to be at least. But this has still got me up and walking, and other people who don't necessarily have the gym and wrestling and all that sort of stuff, who do sit on the sofa, it's getting them out of the door. So that's also a good thing. So I mean, all the people who are moaning about Pokemon Go need to remember the fact that this is a social game that's getting people out the door and walking. So, take the good with the bad. Obviously, that has led to a few things like crime and things like that, but not really as much as the media would allow you to believe. But I mean, you gotta take the good with the bad, and to me, the pros outweigh the cons anyway. But that's another discussion for another time. Basically, generally, I love Pokemon Go. It's a really fun experience when you're hunting down that Pokemon and there's one that you really want to catch and you finally find it and it pops up, or if it doesn't show up on your little mini-map and it just pops up out of nowhere, it's a really exciting experience. I didn't catch it, but I was chasing around a Blastoise a few weeks ago, and I never actually caught it because the servers went down just before I actually found it, but that was a really fun experience. It was really, really exciting. And even though I didn't catch the Blastoise, I kind of thought, you know what? I've walked maybe about a mile trying to find this thing, and it's been really fun. So at the end of the day, I had that to take away from it. So even when you do get that disappointment, it's not really that bad because you're still getting something out of it, and that's what I like about Pokemon Go. The catcher mechanic in the game works very, very well. I would still like to be able to bring out a Pokemon and sort of weaken the Pokemon a little bit that you're trying to catch, because it's kind of very basic to catch a Pokemon. It's simply flick your finger up, throw a Pokeball at them, and there's like a ring around the Pokemon. Green means it's easy to catch, red means it's hard to catch, and the size of the ring also helps. If it's a smaller ring, they've got less chance of breaking out the Pokeball. So, different things like that. It's not really as simple, flick the Pokeball up and hope for the best. There is actually a method to the madness. But but it still would be nice to actually bring a Pokemon out, weaken down the wild Pokemon a little bit, try and catch it the way you can in the games. That would add a new element to actually catching Pokemon, and I think it would be something that a lot of people would appreciate being able to do. So I think that would be kind of nice, but at the end of the day, the game doesn't necessarily need it. I like this sort of CP that they've added instead of actual, levels. That kind of works very well because of the fact that there is a 100 level sort of limit. So, considering the fact that you can catch wild Blastoises and Charizard and Dragonite and things like that, Pokemon that don't generally sort of evolve into those Pokemon until later levels. In Dragonite's case, level 55. So, it kind of removes that limitation, and you can catch Pokemon in the wild of 500, 600, 700 CP, which I'm starting to find now, and it really feels like the Pokemon are a lot stronger than if it was conventional levels. So I've got no problem with the CP. CP is fine in my opinion, and the game, as I've said, is very addictive, so I'm really enjoying playing Pokemon Go. It's getting me out of the house, I'm moving, I'm actually enjoying it and things like that. So there's a lot of merits to the game, but there are also a lot of things that I think don't work too well and things I think need to be improved. Things like the battling system. Now I haven't actually gone to a gym yet and actually done the battling system necessarily, so I can't speak from personal experience, but I've seen people doing it and I've seen other people reviewing it. It's a simple case of tap the screen, hold down your tap, sort of like tap the screen quickly for a quick attack that does less damage, but you can do more sort of attacks with it, or sort of hold down to unleash a bigger attack. And I suppose that kind of works fine on a phone, but it's still very sort of generic and basic, and it doesn't really feel like Pokemon. I know they're trying to take a new sort of approach to it, but I don't think it works as well as if they just allowed us to do turn-based RPG. Because I know that the logic behind the current battling system is that it's a touchscreen experience, so you need to be able to tap the screen and things like that. We can still do that with a turn-based RPG. Like on the games, you got the list of the 4 moves, sort of listed right in front of you. If you could just tap the screen to choose the move you want to do, and in my opinion, that would work a lot better. It'd be a lot fairer, and things like that. Just in my opinion, the battling system needs an overhaul big time to make it more represent the main games, but also because I think it works better in the main games. So things like, for example, I'm not just saying it's Pokemon, it needs to be like the main games. For example, I mentioned how I like that it's CP rather than conventional levels. So it's not just a case of me sitting here thinking, I like the main games and it needs to be more like those. I just think the main games have got it right in the battling system. The trading system as well. I don't mean trading between your friends. We know that's coming in a future update. Niantic have already explained that. I mean, when I say the trading system, I actually mean the transfer system. When you've got a Pokemon and you transfer it for candy. Now, basically the way it works at the moment is, let's say I've got a Ghastly and I want to transfer it to the Professor. I will transfer it to him by clicking the transfer button and he'll give me a Ghastly candy, which sounds all fine and everything like that. But to say that it needs 25 candies to turn into a Haunter, and I don't know how many, probably 50 or 100 to turn into a Gengar, that's not a lot at all. And it's weird because I could trade in a CP 330 Golbat, which I actually have, and I've got, okay, let's put it this way, I've got a level 10, I've got a CP 10 Horsey and a CP 330 Golbat. If I traded both of those in, they would both produce the same number of candies, which is 1. And I think that's a bit unfair, especially with how many candies are actually involved in actually evolving and powering up with Pokemon, because you're going to go through a lot of candies to actually evolve, and then you'll have to power up afterwards and things like that. And I know that the kind of game encourages you to go out and catch as many Pokemon as you can, which will include duplicates. I just think there's a better way of doing it. For example, if I trade in a Pokemon, I should get 10 times less of its CP in candy form. So, using the 2 examples I just used, the CP10 Horsey and the CP330 Golbat, the Horsey would give me 1 candy and the Golbat would give me 33. So it kind of balances out. It's not giving you so much candy that you can walk through the game, and it's actually valuing the Pokemon based on how strong they are, because it's a bit sort of weird that in that example the Horsey would be valued as exactly the same as the Golbat. In my opinion, there kind of needs to be a disparity there. Like, if I trade in a really, really strong Pokemon, I should get a lot more candy back than if I trade in a really, really weak Pokemon. If that makes any sense. I think the transfer system needs an overhaul big time, and I think dividing the CP by 10 and then giving you that number in candy actually isn't a bad way of going about it, because you're not ending up with so much candy that the game becomes sort of redundant, but at the same time it's also rewarding the player as well. You know, higher CP Pokemon are harder to catch, a lot harder to catch if you get up into the, the 300, 400s. You're going to use a lot more Pokeballs, take a lot more time. You should be able to get rewarded for that extra work, and I think that's the best way of doing it. So the transfer system definitely needs an overhaul. The hunting mechanic is also kind of broken as well, because the amount of times that I've had a Pokemon show up on the mini radar and I've walked in a direction to try and find it, and it's kind of moved down the list. So I'll walk back and then I'll literally use every single direction around me, and it literally is nowhere to be seen. It keeps moving down the list, as in I'm walking further away from it no matter what direction I walk in. And that can get frustrating, because of all the Pokemon I've ever caught, most of them have not been specifically hunted. Most of the time I do hunt for a Pokemon, I end up losing it, and it's really frustrating. That, on top of the fact, I don't know if it's just me, but they kind of mentioned how the footsteps would indicate how far away a Pokemon is. I've never ever seen any Pokemon with less than 3 footsteps, and then they've shown up like in front of me. So I don't know if that's a bug in the system that's going to get fixed over time, or whether that's just something they've dropped. I thought that was, a decent way of doing it, and I thought that's something, that I was kind of disappointed to not see. So that would really help with the hunting mechanic, instead of walking in a certain direction and then the Pokemon pisses off your minimap, you can actually see if you're walking further away or walking towards it. It would definitely help with the hunting mechanic. So, I mean, overall, I don't want to give off the impression that I'm not enjoying the game, because I am. I'm really, really enjoying Pokemon Go. It's the sort of thing that I'm going to be playing for a long time, especially as more generations are added. And to mention, adding generations, I hope they don't do it all in one burst. Like, they just said there's going to be a big update. Gens 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 are all going to be made available on a certain date. I hope they don't do that. I hope they kind of space it out. Like, release Gen 2 all on its own. Give us a few months, maybe 6 months per generation, because that would be about 2 years of updates. A year is probably a bit too much, because that would be about 6 years of updates. I think that's a bit too much. But I also don't think it should be any less than 6 months, because with the amount of Pokemon that would be introduced per generation, we also need enough time to actually go through and either catch them all, or really just get the most out of it and enjoy these new aspects of the game before they dump a load more on us. So that's another thing I'm kind of worried about. I hope Niantic do that right. But generally, those are my overall thoughts of the game. I'm still playing it. It's by no means one of the best mobile games I've ever played, but at the end of the day, it's very, very addictive. I'm really enjoying it. There's a few things I would change about it. Quite a few things I would change about it. It definitely needs a lot more improvement, but overall I think it definitely lives up to its purpose, and a lot of people are playing it, so that's also a plus. What do you think about Pokemon Go? Please drop a comment in the comment section below. Give this video a like as well, or give it a dislike if you really hate this video. But drop a comment in the comment section below if you did dislike this video. Let me know what you think I could do better next time. Also, subscribe to the channel if you did like the video, because I will be putting out more content. They're not all going to be audio videos. There will be face cam on my live streams, and hopefully when I get my new camera, there'll be sort of face cam on the Let's Plays and all that sort of stuff. And also more discussion videos. So this is hopefully a temporary setup, so hopefully I can buy myself a new camera at some point before the summer's over. So I'm not sure when. I've got bills and family and all that other bullshit. So anyway, yeah, like, dislike, whatever, subscribe, comment, share this video around, let me know what you think about Pokemon Go. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.